What have the Germans ever given us? Apart from beer and sausages and Einstein and classical music and space rockets. But all of that is just building on what the Romans did. And what have the Romans ever given us? How about gladiatorial wheel-to-wheel combat in high-speed chariots? Welcome to Trier, holy seat of the Roman Empire, and home to Karl Marx and World Rally Deutschland. Cheers! Yes, a very warm willkommen to Germany for round 10 of the 2008 World Rally Championship. Now, he hasn't done it, he hasn't done it, neither of them has done it. No one, in fact, has ever won World Rally Deutschland apart from him. Six years we've been coming here, and he's won it every single time. Can anyone stop Sebastian Loeb making it 7-up?
His times are incredible, and obviously he has that feeling, that final little touch, 100% straight away, and can go with it.
You think you've done sort of an okay time, and then you look at the time of Sebastian, and it's, you know, it's in a different sort of league altogether.
He's the best guy to know the grip level changes. He knows how fast he can go when it's clean, when it's dirty, when it's wet. He knows exactly all those things.
Rain, wind or shine, take a brave man to bet against Sebastian Loeb. It's our first pure tarmac rally of the season, and Seb is simply master of the black stuff.
When I was starting rallying, when it was raining and muddy, I have always done some good times. So maybe I have a good feeling in these conditions, and I think I have also a very, very good car on tarmac, and that's all.
Rally Germany is all about the 3 H's. Hairpins, handbrakes with which to negotiate, said, and Hinkelsteins, designed to stop tanks, and anything else come to that. The Mosel Valley vineyards offer a scenic backdrop and some vintage rally moments. Tarmac's not everyone's favourite tipple, though. It has been known to end in tears. But it's routinely smiles for Sebastian Loeb, invincible in Germany. He'll give us a few clues to how he does it.
You see here, we are cutting completely in the grass, so the grip is very low, but the line is better.
We come to Germany just a fortnight after Loeb's latest foray into the record books. Victory for the Frenchman in Finland for the first time. A milestone win for Loeb, a crushing blow for his closest rival Mikko Hirvonen, putting up a brave fight but having to settle for second in his homeland. It could prove a defining moment in the championship. A championship which couldn't be closer right now, just 1 point separating the top two. Mikko's lead under real threat this weekend, given Loeb's domination here. Big gap, back to Chris Atkinson in third. In the manufacturers, Ford still out in front, just only 3 points ahead after Citroen's strong performance in Finland. Round 10 of 15, 2/3 of the way through the season, takes us on a short hop across to the very west of Germany, the ancient town of Trier, close to the French and Luxembourg borders. 19 stages, many different characteristics and surface changes, through the vineyards one day, military tank training grounds the next. On the banks of the Mosel River, Trier is the oldest town in Germany. It was once the capital of Rome's Western Empire, the magnificent Porta Nigra offering a grand entrance. Day one then, a double loop of 3 stages, the highlight of which is Revertal, where the action gets underway. A big challenge through the narrow vineyard roads designed more for farm vehicles, precious little margin for error. They've claimed many a casualty in the past. The early runners are likely to pull plenty of mud and dirt onto the road as they cut the corners. To the start line then, on a bright and sunny Friday morning. Last time in Finland, Loeb beat this man at his own game. Can championship leader Mikko Hirvonen return the favour?
5. Vasen täys. 100. Lyhyt vasen.
Well, Mikko has the latest evolution of the Ford Focus at his disposal this weekend.
8.
The 2008 version has cosmetic alterations to the front grille as well as engine improvements, which could come in handy here. Immediately, you get a sense of how narrow and blisteringly quick some sections of this rally are.
210. Huomio, lyhyt oikein vasen. Hidas. Risteys. 100. Vasen täys keskeltä.
And an early example of one of the many surface changes there.
80. Tasoisoltiin.
And a clean getaway from Loeb rapidly up through the gears. The Citroën C4 is capable of 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 3.9 seconds on tarmac. As well as his Germany dominance, Seb has not lost a pure tarmac rally since 2004. The world champion's the overwhelming favourite this weekend. But Dani Sordo is also a man brought up on the black stuff. He's finished as runner-up behind his teammate Loeb 4 times on tarmac. Could this be the rally? The Spaniard finally makes the top step of the podium. Citroën's number 2 will be one to watch this weekend, as will the returning François Duval. The tarmac specialist is a former teammate of Loeb and has finished second here 3 times. François will be desperate to impress on what is effectively his home rally. Using virtual spectator, we can see how Duval and the rest compare so far. At the 5.7 kilometre split time, it's Sordo who's made the quickest getaway with Loeb 1.5 seconds back. But look at this, moving onto the marker just under 18 kilometres in, and Loeb's a long, long way ahead. Both Sordo and Duval's pace has suffered. They both slipped behind Hirvonen. A good, solid start then from the championship leader. Mikko powers on towards the finish line, and that's a fine effort on his least favoured surface. Loeb, though, as expected, is the man to beat in Germany. As he surges on through the last kilometre here, it's looking like an incredible time already from the Citroën driver. Almost 6 seconds up on his championship rival.
Yeah, it's a good start. Time compared to Mikko is good. After that, we have to see with the other, because I think it's possible to go faster than I've done.
Ominous signs for the rest then. Sebastian Loeb immediately opening up an almost 6-second lead. Citroën teammate Dani Sordo just pipping Mikko Hirvonen for second place. Plenty more to come from Germany. 2 weeks ago it was all loose and sideways on the gravel of Finland. Chris Atkinson talks us through the difference in technique on tarmac.
Got to be like a circuit racing driver, nice and neat and smooth, and adapt your style.
And there's a frighteningly premature end to Gigi Ghali's rally. Action and reaction to that next. Welcome back to World Rally Germany on Dave. In a moment, the squeal of rubber on tarmac continues, but after only 1 stage, Sebastian Loeb is dominating already. So who better to explain the intricacies of Friday's stages?
These are the stages of the first and the third day of the rally, so it's in the main part in the wines, some parts in the field also, and like you see, it's very narrow, very fast, so you need really to be very precise. It's also some bumps in some places, and it can throw you very easy out on the side of the road, and you can lose everything. So it's a very specific rally, like like here in the field you have a lot of cuts, so that's every driver use the side of the road to take a better line, like here. Sometimes it's even more, like you see here, we are cutting completely in the grass, so the grip is very low, but the line is better. Wynards and Saarland stages are really fast, really narrow, so when it's raining it can be really muddy and really tricky.
Not so muddy, but those grey clouds do look ominous. You make your tyre choice and buckle up for the rest of day one.
And we rejoin Loeb here in stage 2. As he just explained, Loeb cutting well off the road there to find the fastest line. The Frenchman demonstrates the confidence and precision required to master these stages. Mikko Hirvonen has had extra training on tarmac and it's clearly paid off. Although still unable to close on the leader, a terrific time on stage 3 sees the Finn pull dead level with second place Danny Sordo. Francois Duval's challenge, meanwhile, has been hampered by a slight gear selection delay. The Belgian's only 7th fastest on stage 2, and by the end of the following test, he's 12.5 seconds behind Sordo and Hirvonen. Even the smallest technical problems can be heavily penalised on such a quick rally then. Thankfully for the Subaru team, both their cars are running well and involved in an interesting battle for 5th. On stage 2, Petter Solberg moves ahead of his teammate. Only for Chris Atkinson to fight back through Mosseland. With the 5th quickest time, the Australian retakes 5th, but he's only 1.4 seconds ahead of Petter. Loeb's advantage out front is up to 15.3 seconds after 3 stages, with Sordo and Hirvonen dead level behind. Duval, though, has slipped back a little in 4th.
So we're halfway through day 1 and Sebastian Loeb is already building quite a healthy lead. Now down in the tussle around 5th, it's Chris Atkinson. He had a very impressive podium in Finland, but as he explains, this, Rally Germany, is a very different kettle of fish.
Yeah, it's a very different kettle, and the fish are swimming around opposite ways, so it's not working. The same obviously on tarmac, new car. First time on tarmac, I've only had 1 test, so it's taking some time to adapt. It's not going to happen straight away, and we're interested to see where the speed is. It's going to take a little bit of time to get up to speed, maybe even we had last year here where we won a few stages. We've got tarmac tyres as we're sitting on now and a completely different setup to gravel, so it's not easy.
Do you have to sort of change your mindset? Because obviously in gravel you've got to be to a certain amount sideways just to get the speed out of the corner, whereas tarmac's very unforgiving. What's the process in terms of the technique?
Yeah, it takes time to build the confidence because you're such on the edge on tarmac, and you've got, especially here in Germany, a narrow sort of bumpy road, and then you've got sort of grass which is very slippery on the edge, and you put one wheel on that grass, the car squirms straight away like it wants to throw you off the road. So you've got to learn to deal with that and almost drive through it with commitment. Like you'll cut the grass and you know the car's gonna jump everywhere, but you've got to be confident that you're going to pull it back together. And then when you get to a normal tarmac corner without that, which also happens in Germany, then you've got to be like a circuit racing driver, nice and neat and smooth, and adapt your style.
Some of the best rally drivers ever have struggled to master tarmac. Kankkunen won 4 World Championships, Gronholm 2 and Burns 1, but none managed to win on asphalt.
On tarmac you have to be very precise to brake on the right point, to turn just on the right line, and the car is much more nervous, the reaction of the car are much more quick, and so you have to react maybe quicker.
When a gravel expert does win on tarmac, it tends to be a big deal, as Petter Solberg displayed back in Corsica 2003 with his only success on the surface. Germany's one of only 3 proper tarmac rallies on the calendar, hence Ford calling in asphalt ace Francois Duval this weekend. Small wonder Citroën go well here, just like team leader Loeb, number 2 driver Danny Sordo's also grown up on the black stuff. So Ford's Finns have been working hard to get to grips with what for them is an alien surface.
I have been taking some lessons from the rally schools, so I try to, how I say, adapt new things for my driving.
You kind of have an idea how you should drive on tarmac. There's always some new things you could learn with braking and how to take the line. And you just need to transfer as much of that as you can to rally stages. So it takes time to get used to it, but it always helps. Practice makes perfect. Thank you, that was a perfect answer.
And that practice has been paying off for Mikko, keeping up with the Citroën so far, running second on the same time as Dani Sordo as we rejoin Paul King for stage 4.
So evenly matched with a renowned sealed surface expert such as Dani Sordo is a sign that Mikko has improved greatly on tarmac. Mikko is attacking hard here on stage 4 to get ahead of the Spaniard. Dani Sordo, interestingly, has opted for hard compound tyres after losing a bit of grip late on in the first loop this morning. The Spaniard wasn't happy with his setup earlier and will hope that the adjustments made at service will help. Both drivers fighting for second, though, are making little impression on the rally leader. A fair amount of gravel has been pulled onto the road surface where corners have been cut. It's making some areas quite slippery, but it's made little difference to the pace of Loeb. He set a time a few seconds quicker than his first run through this stage this morning. Back with Sordo now, and he's attacking very hard to the stage finish. Terrific driving from Dani here. That's the target time he needs to beat to move ahead of Hirvonen. Finish boards coming up. I think he's going to be quicker. Yes, just 1 second faster than Hirvonen, and he moves ahead overall by the same margin. Further back, the battle of the Subarus continues. Peter Solberg lost 5th place in stage 3 and lies 1.4 seconds behind his teammate. He needs to beat that target to reclaim 5th, and it's going to be close. Yes, he's now 1.5 seconds ahead for the 3rd time in as many stages. The Subaru boys swap places. Well, it seems Petter still not entirely happy. This is where we're at then after stage 4. Loeb now holds a commanding lead of 17.7 seconds, with his teammate Sordo just a second ahead of Hirvonen. Further back, Gigi Gali has passed his teammate Henning Solberg to move up to 8th. On to the final 2 stages of day 1 then, and with the fight for second place finally poised, let's join Mikko Hirvonen as he seeks to get past Dani Sordo. And the Finn is clearly beginning to enjoy himself out there on stage 5. A stunning time, just 1/10 of a second behind Loeb's effort, sees him surge past Sordo and into second. And it's not just Mikko who's on a charge. His teammate Jari-Matti Latvala has also found another gear despite his lack of tarmac experience. The Ford-man surges past both Subaru drivers to move up to 5th. Gigi Gali was struggling to find his rhythm earlier, but he's shown good speed in this second loop. He was 5th fastest on the previous test, and he's pushing hard again here on stage 5. Oh no! A massive accident for the second successive rally for Gigi and Giovanni Bernaccini. Taking another look. He just clipped something there. It immediately flips him offline and into the trees. The steering wheel completely ripped off its mounting. There are anxious moments as emergency crews take every precaution helping Gigi from the car. Understandably, the stage is cancelled as the Sobart Ford-man is taken to hospital for checkups. Gali's accident serves as a reminder how unforgiving this treacherous rally can be. Back to the action on stage 6, and we joined Chris Atkinson, who's just a second behind his teammate. Oh, but he's missed the junction there, and watch the clock as the seconds tick away before he rejoins the stage. Almost a 3-point turn to get the car back in the right direction. He's clearly not happy. He does eventually make it back onto the road, not before more than 20 seconds have been lost. And let's take another look at that. Absolutely flat out. You can see how split-second decisions can make all the difference. It's a costly mistake. It puts Chris further behind Latvala and his teammate. Loeb, though, has barely put a foot wrong all day.
130 mètres, droite 140, bon cours pas corde et frein pour 100 mètres, gauche 60 plus tard pas corde. 200 mètres.
But even he's human too, a slight overshoot there. Despite that, though, the Frenchman makes it 6 stage wins out of 6, and yet again showing his masterful car control. Some deft touches on the handbrake here to negotiate this sequence of hairpins.
Et gauche 140 cours fond, sur attention.
With hundreds of fans crowding into some sections of stage 6, the stewards have little choice but to cancel that run too after Atkinson's passed through. Loeb's lead at the end of day 1 is a commanding 19.9 seconds. Hirvonen will be delighted to be in second, 5.7 seconds ahead of Sordo. Thoughts back at the service park, though, are understandably on the welfare of Gigi Gali after that terrifying accident.
Malcolm, can you explain to us what exactly caused Gigi and Giovanni's crash?
We believe I've got engineers there at the scene at the moment, retrieving the car, and what it appears as though is there's a corner, right-hand corner, which Gigi's cut very heavily, and it appears as though the car's then launched itself across the road. But of course, on the outside of the bend, there's a lot of chopped down trees, and obviously I think some fully grown trees. And he's took a very, very heavy. I think the first impact has come on the left-hand front wheel, which has basically brought the wheel inside into sort of the car area, into the cockpit area. And then the next impact, I believe, has been taken on Gigi's door, which has resulted in him breaking his left femur. And at this moment in time, they're operating on him at the moment. There's no other injuries other than that, and Giovanni, his co-driver, he's been given the all clear.
That, of course, the second time Gigi's world has been turned upside down in as many rallies. A spectacular off in Finland a fortnight ago. He emerged unscathed from that one. But this time a broken leg means it's not only the end of Gali's rally, but his season. A dramatic first day then, with a few unexpected twists. But one thing that was no surprise was the dominance of Sebastian Loeb. But tomorrow, the big guns come out for the famous and daunting Panzerplatte stage, which is the centrepiece of the longest day of the rally. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to World Rally Germany on Dave. It's Saturday morning, day 2 of Rally Deutschland, and the early morning mist has lifted to create perfect conditions for rallying. But we're out of the vineyards and into these narrow, tricky forest stages today. Saturday comprises 8 stages in all, a double loop of 4. Centre stage is the notorious Panzerplatte tank training area. There's nothing else like it in the WRC, the bumpy road sending a constant vibration through the car. The tracks are wide enough, but they need to be. Go off here and you're greeted by the infamous Hinkelsteins, built to repel tanks. A rally car is no contest, as Peter Solberg discovered a couple of years ago. Getting us underway on day 2 is rally leader Sebastian Loeb, with the action called by Paul King.
The flowing roads of Saarland start us off this morning. They are a very different prospect to the tight technical vineyard stages we saw on day 1. Constant surface changes and some very fast sections. Don't expect any of that to faze Loeb, though. There are none better on these roads than the all-conquering Frenchman. Behind Sebastian, Mikko Hirvonen will be delighted to find himself in second place ahead of Danny Sordo. Oh, but a bit of a wobble there for Mikko, a very high-speed slide, but he just caught it in time. A good recovery from the Finn. Francois Duval will be frustrated to have slipped adrift of Hirvonen and Sordo. The Belgian is using Pirelli's new soft compound control tyre for the first time this weekend, so it's taken the Stobart man some time to adapt. Oh, but a close call for Duval there too. It's clearly proving tricky to judge the grip levels on this stage. Back with Hirvonen now, though, has he been able to maintain the impressive pace he showed on day 1? Almost a dirt track across the field here. Another surface change again. As always, Loeb should be the one to set the benchmark, and Mikko is 7.5 seconds slower than the world champion. Let's find out how conditions are out there on stage 7.
Citroens are really pushing hard. They must have some magic tires, because for me it felt very, very slippy. I don't know how they can come so fast, but it's okay, fight's on.
The fight is indeed on. Mikko worried about the grip levels the tyres providing there, but all the top runners have selected the soft compound, including Danny Sordo. Even so, he's 7.2 seconds quicker on the stage and moves past the Finn to reclaim second. Both Subarus were passed by Latvala on the first afternoon, but Petter Solberg at least does have a healthy advantage over his teammate Atkinson after the Australian's costly mistake on stage 6. Oh, but a mistake there from Petter, a little too close for comfort to that tree stump, but luckily no harm done at such a slow speed corner. Petter's mistake not too costly, he's still well ahead of his teammate. Loeb, though, continues to stretch his advantage out front. Behind him, Sordo and Hirvonen have swapped places. Back to the action, and Sebastian Loeb, as ever, has rarely looked troubled by Germany's treacherous tarmac. Some hay bales used here to create a chicane to keep the speeds down as he heads into this village. Kari-Matti Latvala has been steadily falling further adrift of tarmac expert Francois Duval's 4th position. He's approaching that same hay bale chicane. Latvala's right foot hard to the floor here. Oh, but he's in trouble here. He piled straight into the hay bales, which have bounced him off the road. If we take another look, you can see the massive impact as he whacks the hay bale. It's very fortunate the car landed back on its wheels. And again here from outside the car, a nearby spectator catching the action. Dramatic stuff. Unlike his role in Finland, he does manage to get going with a bit of help from some nearby fans.
I came too fast and I tried to avoid hitting to the straw bales. But unfortunately I went to the field, but there was a ditch and we just hit the ditch and make a light roll. I make stupid mistakes, it's a problem there.
Tough times for an emotional Latvala. He's fallen down to 9th, but that provides an instant boost up the standings for both the Subaru drivers as well as Henning Solberg and Ermo Arva.
Saturday is the day for military manoeuvres. After the fine wines of day 1, the Panzerplatte's many surface changes and perpendicular corners are the least of your worries, because these roads have got teeth. Sunk meters deep into Germany, these reinforced concrete slabs of masonry are strategically placed along the roadside, and their simple objective is to stop tanks. They're very good at their job. It's no guarantee that you'll miss them, but they're even in the road book. Now let's rejoin Paul King for the action.
So here it is, Rally Deutschland's toughest test, the daunting 30 kilometres of Panzerplatte. And who better to join through this now famous stretch of road than rally leader and 6-time Germany winner Sebastian Loeb. A chance to check out his telemetry as he begins a run on one of the flat-out straights. Topping 200 kilometres an hour and slightly on the brakes just before the jump. It's breathtaking stuff from the world champion. Loeb's championship rival Hirvonen, meanwhile, needs to get back on terms with Citroen's other sealed surface supremo, Danny Sordo. A rare opportunity now to follow the progress of these two head-to-head. With Loeb having won every stage, they've traded second-place times. Sordo has 4 to Hirvonen's 2. Danny also comes into the stage with a marginally higher average speed, reflected in his 6.5-second lead over Mikko. Hirvonen is first into the stage. The Finn can't afford to lose any more time to Sordo, so this is a critical test for him. Flashing past those dangerous Hinkelsteins, while back at the start line, Sordo prepares for the challenge ahead. And he too blasts off into the stage.
Bastante poco bote a fondo, 10, derecha 9, larga, frenando se tierra 5, 9 larga, frenando se tierra 5, rasante 30, izquierda 7 a fondo y 70.
The 6.6 kilometre split time is our first chance to compare the pace of the two rivals. Hirvonen's already through and Sordo is fast approaching the marker. And he's slower, and that's good news for the Ford man. He's 0.4 of a second up at this early stage. Taking an overview of the whole of Panterplatte, Hirvonen's bearing down on the 11.5 kilometre split. Can he maintain that terrific start? Mikko took the soft tyre option with Sordo on the harder compound for this stage. The Finn will be hoping his tyres don't overheat on this abrasive surface. That will reduce the grip. He sets the latest target for the chasing Sordo. With Citroen's number 2 then. Running behind the Finn, he does have the advantage of being able to react to Mikko's pace. He's now closing on that same split time. And he's now ahead. A good response from Danny. He's now 1.6 seconds up, and his harder tyres may be coming into their own on this rough military training ground. Hirvonen had the better of Sordo after 2 splits, but the balance has shifted in the Spaniard's favour. Taking a bird's eye view again, Hirvonen's not far from the finish line now. He's just past the 26 kilometre split. Mikko's pace seems to have tailed off over the latter half of this demanding test. Maybe that soft compound was just too much of a risk.
Käännä liukas. Jatkuu lyhytvasen eri sisältä liukas 7. Huomio vasen loiva. Liukas jarru 7. Vasen rytky oikein hidas kirraa tosi liukas.
He's cleared the stage okay with a time of 17 minutes 56.1 seconds. Sordo really has raised his game today, and after the 26.3 kilometre split time, Sordo is a massive 8.5 seconds quicker. It's coming towards the finish boards. It's looking very promising for Danny. 7.9 seconds faster than Hirvonen. He lost a little time on the final sector, but that's still a fantastic effort from Sordo. Sordo consolidates his advantage over Hirvonen then. His lead now a daunting 14.4 seconds. But it's Loeb who still holds the monopoly on stage wins.
Time now for a little bit of German history. No, not that. Whether you drive like Mikko or Maureen, chances are at some point you've owned a rally car. Over the years, almost every manufacturer has pimped up their road-going versions to do battle in rally. But none of them have been beefed up quite as much as this. The Audi Quattro. Earning its rally wings in 1980, the Quattro was one of the legendary Group B cars that changed the face of rallying forever. The Audi, alongside other family favourites from Metro, Peugeot and Lancia, were incredibly twice as powerful as today's rally cars. Sit this monster next to your family Focus, and it's the vehicular equivalent of a sprinter pumped full of controlled substances doing the 100 metres against your mum. This is an example of German engineering at its most cocky. Better than Bratwurst, bigger than Hasselhoff. It was the first four-wheel drive rally car and the only car to have won a rally with a woman at the wheel. That woman was France's Michèle Mouton, who wrestled the Quattro to her first rally victory in San Remo in '81. It was the first of 4 in her career. Nowadays, all rally cars have to be manufactured with one eye on the showroom. But back in the days of Group B in the early 80s, you only had to produce 200 versions that were identical to the rally car, so the engineers and the designers could have a little bit of fun. And while the teacher was away, this is what they came up with. There was no restriction on boost. They could use all kinds of lightweight manufactured materials, and so the result was this Frankenstein's monster of a car. Up to 600 brake horsepower, incredibly hot, incredibly fun, but a little bit like trying to pilot a Messerschmitt through the forests. Audi and the rest of the Group B beasts finally proved too tough to tame, and for safety reasons, they were banned in 1986. So, there's more to Germans than beer and sausages. Vorsprung, Dirk, Paul King.
Dankeschön. Well, for the lower runners, it's been a tough event. Irmo Ava has been slowly but surely finding his rhythm on his tarmac debut in a World Rally car. Oh, but a bit wide there and a big impact. He clipped a tree and sent into a spin. He is at least still in the battle for 8th. Britain's Matt Wilson has struggled to find his confidence as he tried to adapt to the soft compound Pirelli tyre. He's in 12th, despite the odd moment. Henning Solberg, meanwhile, is still running in the final, point-scoring place in 8th. Like most Scandinavians, the Stobart Ford man isn't at his most comfortable on sealed surfaces, so it's been a steady run from the Norwegians so far. Latvala, meanwhile, in his patched-up Ford Focus, is beginning his quest to recover the time lost with his earlier roll. But that's another mistake from Jari Matti. And he's stalled the car as well. Mentally, he's all over the place at the moment. On to the afternoon loop then, the final stages of day 2, which includes the second run through the daunting Panzerplatte stage. Having already done the hard work after a stunning 2 days driving though, Loeb could be forgiven for easing off the pace. On the tricky German asphalt, Sebastian almost seems to have reached a whole new level that no one in the World Championship can even come close to. It's been a frustrating day for Mikko Hirvonen. He's been beaten by Sordo on every stage so far today. And there is even more bad news on Panzerplatte. He's picked up a puncture. Just watch for his left rear wheel as he comes past. He's down to the rim. 48 seconds are gone, and he loses 3rd place to Duval.
8 kilometers before the finish, we had a puncture, and I thought 8 kilometers. I just finished the stage and lost quite a bit of time.
That effectively ends what had been a gripping fight for second. Sordo, though, finally broke his teammates' monopoly of fastest times on stage 14, but Loeb's dominance still equates to a lead of more than 40 seconds.
Well, the Fords are struggling, frankly, at the end of day 2 of Rally Germany. The Citroen's very strong. Sordo currently in 2nd, but this man, Sebastian Loeb, looks like making it a magnificent 7. Join us after the break for the final day. Welcome back to World Rally Germany on Dave. Now, after his big crash the other day, we found Gigi Gali in hospital. Gigi, how are you feeling?
Good. Now the feeling is quite good.
Can you explain to us, as far as you remember, exactly what happened?
It was a big straight, and after a flat 6 right, and cut a little bit. Somebody in front touched one stone beside the road and put on the middle of the ruts. Just before the corner, I saw that, but I couldn't avoid it. And just I went over with the SAM guard and I hit that. I lose the control with the car because the car take off. There is a femur. I have 2. One is good. That one is just where it's connected here, where is there is a ball and where I started this femur is just cutted very, very clean. And the doctor just make 3 hole and make a pins, tighten very well, and make me like that go out.
Well, it's great to see you in such good spirits, and I know that all of your fans and all of us wish you very well and a speedy recovery. Thanks, Gigi.
Thanks.
So for now, the final day of Rally Germany continues. It's back to the narrow, twisty vineyard roads to end with, featuring a double run through Moselwein, a fast, twisty test where once again drivers have been caught out in the past with an impromptu taste of the fine vines. Rally Germany finishes with Circus Maximus, a super special sprint through the streets of Trier, where the crowds are out in force. OK, over to Paul King.
Day 3 dawns to a glorious sunrise, and it's back to those tight technical roads of the Mosel Valley Vineyards for the first loop. And first out into stage 15 is rally leader Sébastien Loeb. As we saw on day 1, these are very tricky, narrow roads, but Loeb is still looking very committed despite his healthy lead. Such has been the Citroen's dominance that both Loeb and his teammate Sordo have been able to run their cars in a safe engine mapping setting. It means they have slightly less power, but it does conserve the engines for future use. With a huge advantage in second, Danny too is free to ease off the pace. Mikko Hirvonen, though, still has a fight on his hands on the final day. Rather than chasing Sordo for second, the late puncture on Saturday afternoon has left the Finn in a frantic scramble to make it back onto the podium. He begins the morning 3.9 seconds behind Duval. And the Belgian is one of the best drivers in the world on these roads. Oh, a bit of a slide there, but he's recovered that. Duval wins both stages 15 and 16 to extend his lead over Hirvonen. So Hirvonen is running out of time to make it back to third. There are now 8 seconds separating the Finn from an extra championship point, and who knows how important that could be come the end of the season. Duval, though, clearly wants that third place, and he looks determined to maintain it. He charges up into the vineyards. And once again, he claims stage wins on 17 and 18, pulling another 4 seconds away from Hirvonen. Francois has set fastest times on every stage so far today. A terrific display of driving. With just the Trier Super Special left to run, Hirvonen has a 12-second deficit to make up on a 4-kilometre stage.
So the last throw of the dice here in Germany is a quick city burnout through the streets of Trier in front of thousands of people and the impressive Porta Nigra.
And Mikko Hirvonen has seen his hopes of making it back onto the podium dwindle with every passing stage. Only a horrendous mistake from Duval or team orders could help him move up now. Whatever his final position, though, this has been one of Mikko's best performances on tarmac. For Francois Duval, driving on asphalt is the most natural thing in the world. The Belgian may have needed a puncture for Hirvonen to move into third, but once he was there, his performance on this final day has been quite outstanding. There are no slip-ups from Francois, and that's his 4th podium finish in Germany.
I am very happy. After 7 months I stay home, I come back straight on the podium. It's quite really good. Not so much mistake, and the car is not easy to drive for the weekend, but I work a little bit more for Spain and Corsica.
And the weekend looks to be providing the perfect result for Citroën. Danny Sordo and experienced co-driver Mark Marty fought off the attentions of Hirvonen on the second day, and like so many times before, are providing the French team with a formation finish. Sébastien Loeb has made a habit of breaking records in his 7 years in the World Championship, and another faultless display in Germany has proved that on some events he is quite simply unbeatable. 7 consecutive wins at any event is another record, and it also moves Citroën up to third in the all-time win rankings. Loeb, the undisputed king of Rally Deutschland.
It has been a great weekend again here for us in Germany. 7th victory in a row. That's incredible, but it's really a good rally for me. Every year everything is going perfectly.
And a celebration with his young family is the perfect way for Seb to enjoy this emphatic victory. After 19 challenging stages, Loeb won by an incredible 47.7 seconds. With Sordo over half a minute ahead of Duval, Hirvonen has to settle for 4th.
Is there anything in this sport, any ambitions you have left to achieve?
I don't want. I don't drive to try to beat every record. I just drive because I like that, and each rally is a new challenge. And when I start for the win, and at the moment it's going well. So I hope we can continue like this.
And all that means Sébastien Loeb is back on top in the Drivers' Championship, 4 points ahead of Mikko Hirvonen, while Danny Sordo is up to third. A real boost for Citroën in the manufacturers as the French marque rises to the top, 8 points clear of Ford. In just 2 weeks, we'll be on New Zealand's North Island for fast-flowing gravel roads and some of the most stunning stages in the WRC. Well, it's a German event. The Romans built it, but it's the French who dominate in the 21st century. There's Emperor Sebastian Loeb smashing his own records on top of the podium and back on top of the Drivers' Championship. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next Sunday and every Sunday only on Dave. Cheers!